lovelies. It's Thirsty Thursday. Let's come on in and get ourselves busy. Who's here? Who's in the hood? Let's see who is going to be the first one to say hello. There's Cindy. Hello, Cindy. Hi, Susan. Good to see you. Hello, Catherine. And there's my girl, Marguerite. Hello, Corliss. Hi, Yolanda. I just wrote you a pretty little note. Hello, Doris. There's Helen. And there's my girl, Lizzie. Hello, Arla. Tracy's in the house. And Shauna. Yay. Gwen's ready for the day. Who started their day with it's going to be the best day ever? Put your pinkies up. There's my girl Joanne and Patricia and Rebecca at the car wash. Hello, Julie and Jeanette. All ladies in the house getting ready for a big Thursday. I am anticipating this is going to be the best day ever. Pinkies up. That's my day. I'm determined to make it a good day, and I hope you are too. Anyway, we have lots going on here, and today we're going to talk a little bit about training that brain, because our brains are what's going to keep the course, you know. It's not the plan. The plan isn't magical. Almost, but not quite. Not quite magical. And that's one of the reasons why I want to talk about this stuff, because this is magic the way we need to think. Maybe not magic, but you get the general drift, right? That's why I want to talk to you about that. Tonight is our workshop, or not the workshop, we already did the workshop. Tonight is the webinar, and it's basically a 10-step process of what to do after you sprint. And even if you're not sprinting, this has some highly actionable stuff that's really going to help you to move the needle in your life. I mean, I am telling you, I'm very proud of this. I did it a while ago. I pretty much do it every month. But let me tell you, when you understand and you know and you figure out the processes and everything falls together, that's when you really feel confident in what you're doing and you're motivated to keep moving through. And I would invite you to come to this webinar tonight. I invite you as well to take notes. So come to Saving Dinner. It's savingdinner.com/webinar. We already have a lot of people signed up, and I'm thrilled about that because, listen, I'm here to help you. I'm here to help you move the needle in your life the way you want to move it. And I got a bunch of stuff, got stuff. So I want to share that with you. And who's collecting our quotes of the week? We've been doing this for over a year now. And the reason that I do quotes is because I find inspiration in what other people say, their thoughts, because sometimes there's a different angle. Sometimes there's a different something that just turns on that thinking mechanism inside of me, which makes it so that I want to create a new pathway instead of go the old one and, throw all my results out, because that's a typical thing that we do. Good to see you, Trisha. I'm glad you're here, and Jama too. And I know there was a bunch of other people. Everyone's welcome, of course. And thank you, by the way, for sharing these videos, because you are helping us to reach a new audience. We have sisters out there that are struggling and are looking for connection. They're looking for a healthier way to live their lives, and they feel really distraught and alone and isolated. Bring them in. You know who they are. And you invite them into, and we do free stuff all the time. And I really appreciate the fact that you show up. You show up. Joanne takes notes all the time. So I love Joanne. Joanne is one of my, she's in one of my coaching programs, and she always shows up. And she's got the results to prove that these things work. I'm very proud of Joanne. Very proud of the hard work that she does. And she's got a lot on her plate. And let me just say this. Don't we all have a lot on our plate? It might look different, but it doesn't dismiss us or give us a rationalization or an excuse for not taking care of ourselves. you know? Don't do that to yourself. It's time for you as well. You can't dismiss this. You can't say, well, you know, I just don't have time, so therefore. And you know what happens when you do that? You convince yourself that you're not worth it. It's super damaging. So that's why I always invite you in. I invite you in. I give you information that this is actionable stuff. I don't ever want to just leave you, you know, going, now what do I do? It's not like that. There's always a next step. And I don't care where you are in the process of your life. We always need to be looking for that next step, not because we're dissatisfied, but because we are satisfied and because we want to wring every last bit of juice out of this life that we can. This is the only one we've got. And you know that. So that's really important. One of our quotes of the week, like I said, the quote of the week is the thing that just steers my ship. I find things that just send me into like this tailspin of like, whoa, I wish I thought of that. You know, sometimes it's painful and sometimes it's just actionable, and oftentimes it's just stirring the pot and make you think. So here's Andre Gide, and this is what Andre has to say. And by the way, I'm putting it in the proper pronouns, okay? Woman cannot discover new oceans unless she has the courage to lose sight of the shore. Now, we don't like losing sight of the shore. We like our comfort. You know, we like our comfort zone. And our comfort zone likes nothing better than to keep you doing the same old thing. And using your brain to go around and around in that circle. We call it the carousel of crazy. And it sure lines up with it, doesn't it? Because the carousel of crazy is doing those same darn things over and over again. And where do you think it starts? It doesn't start because you have a refrigerator full of stuff that maybe you shouldn't be eating. It starts with a thought. It starts with a thought. So if we can get a handle on what's between our ears, we can get a handle on just about anything. That's how incredible it is, and that's how important it is to train your brain. I'm going to give you 5 things today that are actionable. Tonight, I'm going to give you 10 things that you can take away if you've been sprinting, or even if you haven't been sprinting, that you will want to take notes on. You can go to savinggdinner.com/webinar. You have to take, you know, sign up and get a seat for this, right? Otherwise, you won't get onto the platform. And we always do a Q&A afterwards. Jenny will be here with me. We take all of your questions. Nobody goes away with unanswered questions. That's just how we roll. It is absolutely free. So savinggdinner.com/webinar. Even if you've been before, you might pick something up again. We always do this live. I don't believe in recorded webinars. I think that's garbage. You know, if you're going to show up, I'm going to show up. We need to be there together. And I want to know that you feel taken care of. I want to know that you got the information out. I want to know if you have questions so I can help you out. That's why we do the things that we do and the way that we do them here. We have an incredible sale going, and a lot of you are taking advantage of it. I had told you my whole story, and if you were with me in May when I got the news that we were not going to get our supplements and kept getting pushed to the back of the lineup, I will tell you it was one of the most humbling experiences of my life, because 15 minutes before showtime, had a whole show prepared, I got told that they weren't going to do our supplements. And I had a 15-minute epiphany of what am I going to do? Well, it wasn't quite an epiphany then, but it was this dread, this fear, this absolute, almost being terrified. You know, I almost had PTSD afterwards. But I learned something really big about myself, and that is if I decide to do something and I put everything behind it, I'm going to get there. And that's what I did. I made a decision to put everything out, and I risked everything, including a credit card, including Mark's credit card, including everything. I just said, it's time. We're going to step up to this. I'm inviting you to this step up too, by the way, because this is the way we have to be living our lives. Stepping into the fear, confronting it, and recognizing it's not as bad as it was, or it's not as bad as we thought it was. That's huge. So what happened? It was just awful. You know, we almost didn't survive it. I mean, I almost literally had to shut the doors. I started crying on the show. I was just distraught. I didn't know what to do. And that's when we made this whole plan of just ordering a ton of supplements and see what happens. And we did. We ordered a heck of a lot more than we ever had before. And now we're in the place, not of only just being able to do supplement of the week and ordering this one in a big bulk, we're ordering them all like that. And you guys are buying them. And I'm going to tell you right now how much I appreciate that. Right now, our glycozyme, this is glycozyme, one of the best digestive enzymes. This is Just Juiced Veggies, and this is Get Lean CLA, because we have up to 25% off on all of our supplements. You heard me, all of them. These guys are getting low. This stuff flew out the door yesterday. So if you want to take advantage of this, go to savingdinner.com/shop and go shopping. And I'll tell you, your order, I've thrown out 1 million of these too. We've sold a ton of supplements, and you with the big orders, you're getting these mindful mugs because pinky's up. And I'm telling you, you know, this is how we roll. We get things done. We make sure that you're well taken care of, and we do it in the way that's going to support you. Thank you for supporting us in return. It is just, it's everything, you guys. It's everything. So what else? Tomorrow is Q&A. Do you have a question for me? Nutrition, cooking, whatever? Send it into savingdinner.com. Go to support@savingdinner.com in an email, and in that subject line, question for Leanne on Friday. I'll answer it here tomorrow at this time. Oh my goodness. So you want to talk about brain habits? Oh, by the way, too, those of you who are in Take Back Your Life and Hot Milk Club, my teaching today on fat and how to lose it, how to really kill those fat cells, you're not going to want to miss this. This had me up late at night putting this whole thing together. This is going to be one of my favorite teachings ever. You get that today at 2 p.m. Eastern in the clubhouse. So show up. And don't worry if you can't, it's going to be in the membership area and you'll be able to go back and visit it. And the membership area is full, chock full of teachings. So our brain habits, you know, what are brain habits anyway? Brain habits are anything. It's just, I mean, it's the way you think. It's your process for processing. It's the way you take in the little thoughts that you had and how that turns out in your life. What does it show up as? And what I know is that our thoughts are mental habits, and our mental habits have the ability to either take us way up on the very top to the pinnacle of that mountain, or throw us down into the valley where we feel like we can't possibly get up. We can also, and this is a big deal, we can create our thoughts on purpose. We don't have to be just left in the wind waiting for whatever thought to throw us here to the left or throw us there to the right or whatever. We have the ability to create in our mind a mind map essentially of where it is that we want to go and how we want to get there. We do not have to be held captive by these emotions and feelings and all these things. And you think about it, what is this stuff? A feeling and an emotion is just a momentary thing. We feel it inside of our body and then we express it in some way or another, or we stuff it, or we have bad thoughts about it, or we create for ourselves. This is just complete insanity. We create for ourselves just this insane pathway. It just doesn't work. Margo, go to savingdinner.com/shop. I believe that's where everything is. Is Jenny here? I didn't see her. Anyway, Jenny's got links and what have you, so hopefully she's there. Anyway, and by the way, the 25% off is just for our we haven't told everybody. We've told people who've bought our supplements before, and we've also told our Facebook community, so you're in the know, right? So our feelings can they can determine the way that we go. Our feelings are not everything, by the way. Our feelings aren't everything. Our feelings are a biological result of something that came up. I love this because this helps Because if you've ever felt dragged around by the nose, by your feelings, and worn your feelings on a sleeve, I mean, we've all been told this, right? You read your emotions on your sleeve. You do this and you do that. You know, here's what we need to know. We don't need to dismiss them, but we also need to look at them in their proper perspective. They're there because of a biological, physiological reaction, period. That's one of the reasons why, and we've talked about this for so long, and I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. When we have this feeling, this craving of a food, let's say you've got a sugar craving or some kind of a carb craving and you're just jonesing, you know, that it's addictive behavior. I mean, let's call it for what it is. We have the ability to turn that off. We do. We use it. I use it. Here it is right there. It's called L-glutamine, and we just dab it onto your finger like so. There it is. Cuts off that whole physiological craving right to your brain. We all have this one part of our brain that lights up, whether it's methamphetamine, cocaine, heroin, sugar, potato chips, whatever. All of these things are what bring us to this place of just to our knees. And that is our brain. That is a physiological response. But I'm here to tell you that you can cut those things off and you can retrain your brain to go the direction you want. Do you want the valley or do you want the pinnacle of the mountain? I want the pinnacle. And when I recognized this with myself, and I found myself for sure going into this whole like hand-wringing thing and your head, into your head, that is your subconscious really, because you're still doing other things, but in the back of your head, you always hear that, yeah, well, in the back of my mind, I knew. In the back of my mind, in the back of our mind is where a lot of us live. And unfortunately, when you're living your life in subconsciousness all the time, you're not living your life on purpose. And when you do decide to live your life on purpose, and when you do bring things to the forefront of your mind and you're thinking about things, you're doing a more, and this is where we kind of get a little bit of brain fatigue, you're doing more of a layered process, you know? When you've got that layered process going on, when you've got that whole thing going on, abstract thinking, contrasting things, trying to understand, figure out, that's a whole lot different than being in the back of your head. Your back of your head, that's where the brainstem is, right? This is just one layer of thinking. One layer of thinking, flight or fight, fear, whatever. I mean, it's just very base, very primal. The front of our heads, this is the frontal cortex, prefrontal cortex. This is where we do the complicated stuff. And most of us don't live there. Sometimes we do, and this is what happens. We get there and oh, I'm so confused. I'm overwhelmed. All right here. And so you know what happens? We go to old behavior way back here in the back of your head, and we go to that primal stuff. This is why we go and rattle around in the cupboards. This is why we go and we're eating and doing all those dumb things that we already know don't work. But it's exhausting to stay up here in this prefrontal cortex, isn't it? It takes a lot of energy. You say brain fatigue, brain fatigue, we say that because spending that time there. This is why that training of your brain is just so absolutely crucial and absolutely got to do it. Because when you can create it, when you can create pathways that are different, when you can get those habits in place, everything is different. I'm going to give you 5 things that you can do, okay? You need to, first of all, understand, number 1, that we go to problem-solving mode. We go right here to the front of our heads. That's it. The prefrontal cortex is the problem solver. It's the CEO of your brain, and it's the one that decides this, that, and the other thing. This is the many layers of what the heck is going on, and that is the problem solver. Sometimes, however, we get stuck there and going, well, what if we do this? Oh my gosh, what if I do that? What if I do this? And what if I go to do that? It's like a ping pong rally, right? Back and forth and back and forth, and nothing gets dealt with. Well, we need to problem solve versus ruminate. Cows ruminate, we don't need to. Ruminate means hand wringing. Ruminate means going over and over and over and over and over and over and over again and making yourself nuts so that You finally get to the place of just overload and say, forget it, I'm overwhelmed. And back we go into those same old habits that have caused you all this wreckage in your life already. Come on. Isn't that sad? Is that what we want? Absolutely 100% no. Of course not. And this is why I'm bringing this up. Don't be a hand-wringer. Stop with the hand-wringing. Instead, say, you know, I'm not getting past, you know, step B for this solving this problem. You get, how do you do it? You get some good, solid advice from somebody who's going to hear you out, listen, and not just jump in and try to, you know, scratch their way into your thinking and figure it out for you, but instead is a good sounding board, asking you good questions and helping you to sort it out. That's one of the things that you need to do. And you also need to start creating your what if scenarios. What if is such a great question because it launches our creativity and our imagination. And that is where the problem solving happens. Start asking yourself those questions. And then I've got one for you that you are not going to believe, because I saw this in our Facebook group for the sprint this week, and I thought it was so great. And somebody was saying, and forgive me, I don't remember who it was saying that that they are able to give good advice to a friend, but how come they can't take it themselves? And how many times is that true for you too? Well, maybe if we just, when we get into this place and we start saying the same thing and start doing the same thing again, you can go to this place and you can say to yourself, well, okay, how about if I gave advice to a friend who came to me, the same problem that I have? What would I say to them? Because it gives you a whole new perspective. You're taking it from a friend's perspective and not, you know, just this random idea of, well, maybe I'll try this and maybe I'll try that. It doesn't give you all the emoting opportunities. Instead, it gives you a clear perspective for problem solving when you give advice to a trusted friend. You've done it. I've done it. And we've all said the same thing. Gosh, I've said all these things to my friends. Why can't I do this for myself? You can when you decide to flip the switch. You can. The other thing is, you know, when we get stuck, we have this tendency to over-emote. Our emotions become the thing instead of what it is that we're trying to problem solve. So if we have, for example, cravings, or we have somebody in our house who's just being really, you know, awful, and maybe saying, you know, you want some of this chocolate or whatever it is that's going on in your house, I think we need to take a minute and start looking at what is this emotionally doing to us right now, right? Because one of the things, this is a big habit of mine, and I know a lot of women, is to stuff the emotion, to stuff the way we're feeling, and just like, oh, but I'm just going to get on with it. Well, yeah, let's get on with it, but also let's call it out for what it is. I feel really pushed. I feel manipulated. I feel terrible. I feel like I'm not being heard. This is how I feel. That's cool. You know, and being able to say that to the person who maybe is stirring that pot in a way that makes you the owner of this feeling and not pushing it onto them, saying, you did this to me. Because you did this to me is never going to get you to the place where you want to get this thing solved. Nobody wants to be pointed at. Nobody wants to be pushed into a corner and told, you did this and you did that. No, they didn't. Nobody held a gun to your head and said, go eat these chips right now. They maybe were inconsiderate. They maybe were eating the chips in front of you. They maybe were saying, here, have some chips. They're so yummy. Nom, 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 nom. You know you want them. They might be that terrible. But the point is that you have a decision to make. And you can feel tempted. You can feel all these different things. And you can even say, you know what? This is tempting to me. This is awful. And you know what? I do not appreciate that you have chosen to have this kind of behavior in front of me when you know what I'm trying to do right now. Whatever it is, have a voice in your life. Have a voice in your life. Have a voice about your emotions and identify them, because they count. And at time, and here's the other thing that's really cool when you do this. As you do this, and as you start processing things and vocalizing about it, and not in this way where it's everybody else's fault and you're just being a victim to everyone else, but really taking ownership with it, your voice helps you to override what those emotions were previously telling you to do. Because you're training your brain, you're training yourself, you're trusting your heart, body, mind, and soul to say that this is not working for you. You know, finally, after all those years of just stuffing it and feeling awful and thinking you don't have a way out, that you're being victimized by your family or whatever it is, you have a way out and you have a voice. And if you use it and you declare what exactly is going on, it's going to make a difference. Remember yesterday we were talking about declaring things and having a manifesto and having a declaration of what's what in your life. It's a needle mover. It brings the courage out. And the courage, when the courage comes out, so does the what ifs, because now we're in problem solving mode. Now we're in creation. When we are creating, we're using a different part of our brain, and that creative power is the thing that's going to drive the ball down the court, and it's going to make you feel confident, motivated, strong, empowered. All of those things have to be in place. And we can bring them out at any time because they're already there. You just haven't stirred that pot, and I'm here to poke you to do that. That's my job. That's my job. And then, you know, we get to this place. One of the things that women like to say, sorry, but, and maybe this sounds sexist or whatever, is I just need you to hear me. I don't want you to solve it for me. We hear this all the time, and we read it in all the magazines that men do this and women do that. And I say, that's all bunk. That's putting women in this little teeny corner that's saying we're just these over emotional creatures, excuse me, that can't figure things out. And I say garbage. You've heard me say this time and time and time again, that what we need to do is recognize the emotions that are going on, unplug them from that particular problem so we can step back and be our own problem solvers. We don't need to be mansplained right? We do not need to have a man come in and mansplain it for us. That's what this nonsense says when we say, we just need to vent. We just need to be able to say this. Don't problem solve it for me. Don't go there. Let me just tell you, do not go there. You know what you need to do? You need to get your body clutter buddy. You need to get in line with your journal. You need to get in line with yourself. And you need to start looking at, like, what the heck is going on? Why do I have to keep having this problem? And I'm not saying don't go to anyone, but what happens is this whole back and forth thing, and it looks like a Cosmo magazine article. Women are so emotional. Just want a time to vent. Blah, 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 blah. You know what? I say, to heck with that. That's old, stupid crap. What is new, and what we can take to the bank is that we are thinkers just as much as men are, that we have emotions that maybe we've stuffed down. Men don't. They just like let it go, you know? And they're a little different dimensions than we are. We've got several thought processes. We have several things that we think about. It's in our DNA. We are naturally going to be protective and nurturing about our families and what have you. We have all of this stuff. So what? That doesn't mean that we don't have the ability to problem solve. You bet your bottom dollar we do. And you do too. You've got that ability to do it. And you can do it with yourself. You can do it with a body clutter buddy. You can do it with a journal. You can do it with a counselor. You don't have to say, I just need to vent, and then just let it all go and then not do anything with it. You know, that's like throwing up all over the living room floor and just leaving it. Come on. We're big girls now. And we have the ability to control our emotional toil, and we all have it, and to be able to figure it out, to be able to unplug from it and go, okay, now let's get into the problem solving mode. What would I do if this was my best friend saying this was a problem? Would I just sit there and emote and barf all over everyone and then just be, you know, now I vented and I feel better? Which is not a solution, by the way. Or would I take a 30-foot view and look at it and deal with those problems with the logic and the solutions that I already have inside? Would you be that woman? Yes, you would. I know you would. So let's stay the course, shall we? Of letting our emotions have their voice, but not having them run the course and take over, right? Our emotions are important. They're a part of who we are, but they're momentary. They're always momentary because one emotional come here and there and everywhere. We don't need to be these venting things. We're not boiling pots, for heaven's sakes. I'm going to give you something too, man. If you're not keeping a journal, can I just invite you into the place of keeping a journal? Can I invite you into the place where you've got a place to land all this stuff? Because it comes up. And that means that you need to deal with it as it comes up. But this is part of the brain training. And I'm going to tell you something else. When you start your day with gratitude, start your day with an expectation that this is going to be the best day ever, and that you have such gratitude when you're taking that hot shower. I have hot water. You have such gratitude when you're shampooing your hair. You know, I've got shampoo. I have such gratitude when you get out and you're putting lotion on your body. I have all these luxuries that most of the world does not. And when we get to that place of gratitude, everything expands, including our problem solving, including the ability to train our brain and go the way that we want it to go. And these things are habits. Our brains have habits just as much as our habits are in the house, just as much as our habit is, you know, emptying the dishwasher. You know, we have habits, and we want to train our brain to the way we want it to go instead of letting it just go willy-nilly any old way. Because an untrained brain, you might as well have a dog in the house peeing all over your carpet. Do you train the dog? You teach him to go out? You teach him how to use, you know, you praise him, good boy, you know, when he uses the outside instead of your coffee table? Of course you do. Train your brain too. Train your brain too. This is part of our brilliance, really. Training our brains, being present with our emotions, being present with the thing that's not working, and start looking at gratitude as one of the pathways. Gratitude is helping to build a bridge because there's the gap for where you are here and where you want to go. And we have to build that. We have to be in construction, building that bridge to the gap. And it starts with gratitude. It starts with thinking things a little bit differently. It starts with having a voice. And it starts with being present with yourself and understanding your emotions are merely helping you to get things going, helping you to understand certain things. They are not necessarily everything. They're not going to lead you down that rosy path. Think about how many people who are in prison because they had an emotional breakdown, shot somebody, killed somebody, did something terrible. Why? They did something terrible because they had no control over their emotional reflexes. We can do this. We can have control. We can have the life that we want to lead, because remember, our whole mantra is what we think about expands. I shared with you yesterday, I'm losing double the weight in half the time. And my body is looking for ways to work that out. And it's changed my perspective of temptation. It's changed my whole perspective, because when I start to see something, or I see Mark, like today, this morning, he was making this gorgeous omelet with all these mushrooms in it. I was thinking, oh, that looks good. And then I said, no, I'm not even hungry. I'm losing double the weight in half the time. And I just it didn't bother me that he was making that delicious omelet. I can have an omelet next week. Right now, I'm sprinting. So anyway, that's what I have for you today. And this stuff's actionable, you guys. I hope you took notes. I hope it helped. And I hope that you're taking advantage of our big 25% sale off. Nobody knows about this yet, just you guys and our continuing fabulous customers that I love on every single day when I write my notes. There's my girl, Vanessa. Hello, Vanessa. And you know what else? Here's the thing. Today at 2 o'clock, that class, if you're part of my Hot Milk Club or Take Back Your Life, this class is going to blow you away. So be there at 2 p.m. in the clubhouse. And tonight is our webinar. You'll want, okay, 10 actionable things. So go to savingdinner.com/webinar, and that was going to get you there, okay? I am so excited about today. I'm excited about all the things that we have going on, and I am so grateful for such a great folks like you who have filled out this community and just made it all that it is. It's just more than I could have ever expected. Thank you so much. I love you, and I appreciate you so much. Peace be with you. Bye.